The latest episode was 100% made for me because what do you mean create a frontline costume? This is my bag. This is when I actually think that I'm a designer. I'm going to have input. And though it's been a few days since the last episode, we can still catch up and kiki and talk in the comments. The latest episode of Carnival Catwalk had the contestants creating a frontline costume in 24 hours.
Designers, for your next challenge, you will be asked to create a frontline carnival costume.
Yeah, I knew this challenge was coming, but not so soon.
The host, Roman Candy, gave the contestants their theme, which was Birds of Paradise. And I was thinking, it's giving UCOM circa 2023. Just saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, once they gave the contestants their briefing, then you saw all like masqueraders come out. They were having a whole party in the street. And I was just thinking, I'm really here. Not prepping for Trinidad Carnival, which is in what, 4 weeks? That's fine. So if you remember the week before, Marco actually had the challenge win, and his prize was that he got premium package materials for his designs this week. But he could actually still use the rest of the materials in the design studio that the other contestants could use. And I'm sorry, this week, everything was a bit too calm for me. I mean, I know like I was saying, it was a bit too much drama, but there was no drama. Like they were grabbing the material so calmly. Oh, do you want this? Oh no, I don't want it. You have it, babe.
Birds of a feather stick together. I'm so happy how relaxed we are, like
right.
Grabbing things.
Then we got a feel of the type of birds that the contestants were going to use and pull inspo from. Mamine was talking about she was going to use a snake. Birds of Paradise. She spoke about a snake. Panterona was drawing inspo from a hummingbird and peacock. And then Christian was talking about he's going to be inspired by a yardfowl, aka a chicken. What I found cool about this episode is that they had a featherist called Erin Schneider who came to help, drop some tips, a little feather workshop, and I thought, ooh.
And it's also very easy to manipulate. So trimming Nando's, you can cut this down from any side that you want to create a sharper feather. You can curl this any way you want to create depth to your back.
Some bands in the UK, you lot could use that. Anyway, sorry, I'm not being shady. And then it panned to my girl Nabala, and I thought, she's been a bit silent this episode. And I thought, you know what? That's how she stays, silent but deadly. She wants to keep quiet, but she's going to come and is going to speak on the runway. And then just before the final runway, we saw Marco get wheeled to the hospital because where he injured his thumb the week before, they said that they found a small fracture. And I thought, Marco, go and get that thumb seen to because I need my boy on his best form. Then it was time for the runway, and guess who was the guest judge? Guess. I mean, if you watched it, you know it. It was none other than Destra. The queen of Bacchanal, Destra, was the guest judge this week.
With 16 chart-topping albums and performs in carnivals all over the world, she is a 3-time winning female songwriter. Let's welcome Destra.
They also know her as Lucy, and she is Red Bacchanal.
So Tristan was the first design up on the runway. His bird of choice was speckled something, and I can't say the last name. And it was metallic, but there was still colour in the feathers. I'm pretty sure he scalped about 600 birds to get that many feathers. But I really liked it. Like, Tristan was kind of like, in the middle of the pack for me. But this week, I was like, ooh, you're one of my favourites. Panterona's design was up next, and her bird of choice was a hummingbird mixed with a little bit of peacock. And I was like, I've seen this costume before. It had like purples, blues, greens. It really was giving like bird. I was feeling like, So it turns out Mamine's bird was actually a parrot, but the snake was for the back. So then I was like, oh, okay. So when the model turned round, it was like this long snake thing that was also a trail. And I thought, oh, okay, I think I get it. But at the same time, colours were nice though. And I think she also pulled inspo from like the Amazon. So I thought, girl, have you been in UCOM's handbook? Birds, now the Amazon together? I don't know. Then it was time for the costume that I was really intrigued to see, which was Christian's, which was the yardfowl, the chicken. And I had to reach for some sunglasses because it was silver, it was sparkly, there was reds, blacks, whites in there. Literally, if I saw that on a summer's day, I would just have to, I can't see. But it was really, really nice. I liked it, and it was the only costume designer who did it for a male. Then you already know who it is. Before the name even came on the screen, I was like, oh, I think this one's my favourite. And of course it was Nabala's. Her bird of choice was a peacock. There was pinks in there. The legs had a little mesh thing. There was some blacks. I said, babe, just give her the crown already. Marco was next, and his bird of choice was a cocorico. Cocorico. I think I said it right. And for somebody who has never wire bent before, has never created anything like this, he did such a good job when it came to the back piece and the headpiece. Like, they fused together really, really well. The only thing I wish is that we had just a little bit more on the body. And last but not least was Ryan's Bird of Paradise creation. And I'm sorry, you know what? I know Nabala's I said was my favorite. I think Ryan may just have edged it. May just, or on the same part for me when it comes to favorites. Like the corals, the oranges, the blues, the gem, the way that pant was sparkling from the gems, the wire bra. Yeah, do you know? Okay, maybe it was my favorite. Then after some feedback, Destra was basically saying Mimine's, snake idea she hates, because she was coming from a point of a masquerader that if that little thing gets caught in your legs, you're annoyed all day, you're just ripping it off. And I was like, sis, I actually hear that.
Only because as a masquerader, and I've been playing mask since I was 7. So for me, something like that, I would pull it off my costume and throw it away.
They thought Nabala's didn't look like a peacock. I said, hey, not too much on my girl. Then she said the material she used for the bodywear was actually peacock print. I said, yeah, that's right. It's just not your typical peacock. But then they thought Ryan's was actually too generic, like an actual beautiful costume, but didn't capture the theme properly. And I was like, oh, okay. But at least they agreed like it was a beautiful costume. Anyway, after a short deliberation, they said that Marco was the challenge winner again.
Marco, congratulations. You've done it again, my friend. Congratulations.
But to go home this week, unfortunately, was Mimine.
We say goodbye to Mimine.
Anyway, I actually think this was one of my favourite episodes. But looking back, I don't know how the heck they constructed a whole frontline costume in 24 hours. That's actually insane work. But meet me back here next week. We'll talk about episode 5. And I think that's probably about halfway, if I'm thinking correctly. I don't know. But I'll see you next week.
Carnival Slayers.